Hi everyone, I'm here at the LB Foster site in Sheffield, where we're going to be finding out about a next generation friction modification technology that's going to deliver safer and more efficient rail operations in the future. And I'm delighted to be joined by Matt from the company, who's going to be telling us all about KELTRACK On-Board. Matt, just explain to us why this shift from wayside friction modification to onboard the vehicle, why it really matters and what the advantages are of that change.
Yes, there's two major advantages for moving from wayside to onboard. The first is the safety aspect. So trackside systems do require boots on the ground, which is both puts the maintainer in a position of potential danger, and it also affects network operation. So you can only get to those units generally in possession scenarios. So moving that operation back to a railway depot obviously is an improvement from the safety aspect. Secondary, we have a more efficient use of the product, so the system's attached to the train, the product can go where the train goes, so we can condition the whole network from a really small install base. And to get that equivalent conditioning using static trackside systems would require a large number of systems to get the equivalent benefit, so much more expensive route to the same solution.
And just tell us a bit about KELTRACK, the product itself. What are the advantages of using KELTRACK for friction modification?
Yes, the biggest USP of KELTRACK is the fact it's water-based, so it has no oil content, which is something that you would see from rival products on the market. And the reason that is an advantage is from the safety aspect. So oil is inherently a lubricant, whereas we provide media that controls friction to an intermediate level. Between 0.3 and 0.4 coefficient of friction. Additionally, KELTRACK is what's known as a positive friction media. So what that means in practice is, as tractive effort and creep forces increase, the frictional value at the interface remains the same, which is something that's very useful if we're trying to overcome stick-slip oscillations in the railhead, which is one of the root causes of top-of-rail squeal.
So really this technology fits into a wider context of trying to address track defects such as rolling contact fatigue, corrugation, noise, that kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. What it's doing at that contact at the wheel-rail interface is modifying that condition, and that is the root cause of a lot of those damage functions you've just explained. So it is an effective solution across a wide gambit of damage.
We're here with the KELTRACK On-Board test module. Do you want to just talk us through the key components and key elements of this technology and explain a little bit about how it works?
Yeah, sure. So there's three key sub-assemblies to the test module. First of which is it's called the human interface. It also acts as a signal exchange to the vehicle. So as we can see in here, it provides a means of electrical isolation for the KOB from the vehicle itself. It also allows voltage-free contact to exchange signals to and from the vehicle, such as speed and direction, location. There's a DC-DC converter in there, so we take native power from the vehicle and transform that down to 24 volts to power our own system. The most interesting element of it is this, which is the human interface. So that allows us to very quickly ascertain the health of the system using the traffic light system. Behind that front screen there's also a more detailed set of menus that will allow us to change output parameters. That could be the volume of the product, or what speed we actuate, temperature shutoffs, various elements of the system that it has intelligence on. It'll also forewarn the operator to perform some preventative maintenance activities as well, so we retain high system uptime. The second sub-assembly is what we call the dispensing and controls cabinet. So that has two parts to it, the first of which is the product reservoir. In this instance, this is a 20-litre reservoir, but it's something that we're able to customise to suit the operator's needs, and that sizing is primarily governed by the maintenance intervals of the operator. The second partition contains the pump technology, so that is a stepper drive motor feeding a geared pump. We also have a PLC controller in there, so we can deal with inbound and outbound signals logically. And the final piece of that internal is the pneumatic supply. So we take a pneumatic feed from the vehicle and modulate that, and also that allows us from a solenoid blank there to open and close the spraying nozzles. This is the spray nozzle, so it is an air atomizing nozzle. It has 3 inputs: the product line, which feeds the nozzle KELTRACK. The second is air atomizing, which disperses the KELTRACK into a cone. And the third is the control, which is essentially opening and closing the nozzle pneumatically. It's native closed.
So Matt, you've got the dispensing nozzle here. Just tell us a little bit about a couple of the key advantages of this design.
Yeah, so we've designed this nozzle with KELTRACK in mind. As we mentioned earlier, KELTRACK's a water-based product. So one of the elements that we have integrated into the nozzle design is a duckbill, and that has the effect of stopping drips and build up at the nozzle tip. So after the product has actuated, that duckbill closes and there's no possibility of residual product at the outset of the nozzle. So that preserves the maintenance intervals and stops product blockage. The second element is the wind skirt, which is this shroud here. So when a vehicle is in motion, particularly at high velocities, there's the propensity for the turbulent effects to interfere with the spray pattern and the spray cone. This essentially acts as a windbreak to, again, prevent that from having an adverse effect on the spray pattern, so we get really good transfer efficiency from nozzle to railhead.
We've heard about the advantages of KELTRACK On-Board, but what do you see as some of the challenges to its widespread adoption across the rail sector and across the infrastructure market?
In fact, the benefit from the product is both rail-borne and vehicle-borne, and the makeup of the industry often only has funding for one element of that. So when we're creating value propositions, we have to omit a lot of what we are giving benefit to, which is a challenge. Secondary is the fact that there's almost a first mover advantage lost. We're providing a superior product, but the notion of applying fluid to railhead is already well established, albeit that is from oil-based media. So one of our challenges is to try and re-educate the market as to why we should be using water-based products and the advantages of our hardware too.
So there's some industry mega trends there, the changing structure of the industry, and also perhaps a little bit of that education piece, which is why we're here in Sheffield today. So just tell us a bit about some specific target markets or perhaps target segments of the market where you see KELTRACK On-Board perhaps being particularly useful.
Yeah, so Kirby's quite sociable in so much as it will suit a wide range of vehicle stock. It actually has a history in the freight market where it was used for energy savings. What we've seen in the transit sector is probably the LRV stock is the most challenging due to the space constraints of those vehicles and also the available pneumatic air supply. It's probably best suited to metros or any stock that's on a closed loop. That is because KELTRACK has a residual benefit. So in practice, what that means is a small percentage of the fleet can actually condition the network for all of the fleet. So it creates a very strong value proposition.
Just tell us a bit about the data capture potential that this technology has. What can operators learn about the health of their networks and the health of their operations from KELTRACK On-Board?
Yes, the KOB is a highly instrumented system and it's able to communicate that level of detail up to cloud-based RPM, so that can be interrogated by operators. So that will allow them to get ahead of any sort of maintenance that's required on the system before it comes to depot. Predominantly that's going to be replenishment of the consumable itself, but it will also flag up any early warning alarms for anything more that requires more human intervention.
So this is really a real-time condition monitoring capability that's in line with kind of wider technological trends within the rail sector.
That's right. Yeah, that's what we've tried to develop to try and give the operator what they're asking for.
Well, thank you, Matt, for talking us through KELTRACK On-Board, explaining how this next generation friction modification technology works and making the case for its wider adoption across the rail sector. We're now going to go off and find out a little bit more about what L.B. Foster does in the rail infrastructure market and find out a bit more about what goes on here at their site in Sheffield.
L.B. Foster is a growth company. We're at roughly $550 million global sales per year, coming out of 2 verticals, the infrastructure group and the rail group. Friction management resides in the rail business, which is roughly 60% of the overall L.B. Foster revenue stream. Within the growth playbook that we have created, we are really focusing on driving new technologies And part of that is in friction management, where we offer a wide range of products from world-class consumables to services and wayside equipment. Really, we want to package that as a total friction management solution that can drive, the overall impact to the customer by operating at the peak levels of uptime and reducing operational costs and enhancing safety.
John, just tell us a bit about what L.B. Foster does here at your Sheffield site.
Here at the Sheffield site, we mainly manufacture and produce some of our friction management products and some of our trackside products.
So this morning we've been doing a deep dive into KELTRACK On-Board, which is your sort of latest innovation, and your colleagues have made a really compelling case for its wider adoption across the rail sector. Just tell us a little bit about how KELTRACK On-Board fits into that portfolio that you've just mentioned of the other products that you do here.
So traditionally we've worked on trackside application of the KELTRACK product. So KELTRACK is our top of rail friction management product. So you apply it to the top of the rail to control the friction levels to give you a nice intermediate level of friction. So as I say, traditionally we've applied that from the trackside systems. The KELTRACK On-Board system is our new latest way of applying KELTRACK to the rail. The idea being that by applying it from the vehicle, that will reduce people going out on track, make the systems easier to maintain, and improve the overall life cycle costs of applying KELTRACK to the rail. So for us at L.B. Foster, we see that as being the future product. It's moving away from the traditional trackside systems and moving things onto On-Board, where it's easier to maintain and easier to apply.
So you're really confident that this will be a next generation approach to resolving or helping to mitigate issues like rolling contact fatigue and some of the other damage and corrugation and noise issues that we see at the wheel rail interface.
Yes, and it allows you to apply it to the places where it really needs applying. So one of the key benefits of KOB is that we specifically control where the application sites are. So it's not just being applied on a time basis, but that means that you really can get the product to where it's needed and not relying on it being picked up and carried down the rail as traditionally with trackside systems.
Thank you, John, for putting KELTRACK On-Board into the wider context of the work that L.B. Foster is doing here in Sheffield. And if you'd like to find out more about KELTRACK On-Board, then please do visit L.B. Foster's stand at the upcoming Innotrans trade show in Berlin in September, when they'll be in Hall 25. But for now, it's just time for me to thank the colleagues from L.B. Foster for hosting us this morning. Thank you very much, and goodbye.